This here is my great-grandmother's clock. It's a type of clock called an American clock, though I'm not really sure what's American about it. She was a farmhouse woman who lived in northern Jutland and had 14 children during her life. And this is basically what we have from her home. Yeah, heirloom piece there. and if it's passed to me one day, yeah, then it'll be fourth generation listening to this tick tock here. But I don't particularly like it. And the reason is something about what these contraptions do to our perception of time. Clocks are externalization of time. They are actually rather hopelessly imprecise machinations that dictates time as this exterior condition, which is out of relation to us, but is dominating our relation to time, basically. And I think that the domination of clocks and clockworks are part of the modernist subjugation of more relational animist perceptions of time that are simultaneously more fluid, they're softer, yet they can also operate with a precision that can be so exquisitely fine-grained that is way beyond what these flippin' gothic, steampunk machines from the Victorian age can muster. I once read somewhere that you find rhythmic variation in samba that cannot be registered in a European notation system, even if you apply 64ths. That means that if you count to 64 during the time that I go and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, then you have 64ths, right? And that is the time. That is the precision with which a samba percussionist manages time, right? There are cases where West African polyrhythmic drumming is acquired through initiatory dancing. You basically have to learn these rhythms through moving knowledge away from analytical parts of the brain and into shortcuts between sensory and motoric parts of the brain in order to basically develop this knowledge. It's an extremely advanced technology of time. And that is the time management of peoples that many of us Euro descendants have the audacity that we're accusing them for being bad at managing time. And of course, the reality is exactly the opposite. We, North Europeans, for instance, we have developed a deeply decrepit relationship with time. I know that I have. I'm fourth generation, as I said, down from this monster here, ticking and talking itself into a neural system with its mind-numbing, constant sounding tickety-tick, tickety-tick, tick-tock, And I think that my perception of time is completely damaged, basically. I don't follow the sun in the changing seasons. I look at the clock on my smartphone all the time. I have online time manager, which is overpacked with stuff. And if I'm getting 10 minutes late for an appointment, I seriously feel so bad about myself that I almost can't be in my own skin, I never, just let time be there. And I don't know when the oak drops its leaves, when the elderberries are ripe for collecting, when mushrooms, should be gathered, or when it's a good time to sow wheat, basically. A good friend of mine is the Danish author Andrea Heilskov, and she once went basically, fuck the whole rat race. She went off-grid into the forest, and she had this amazing point about time. She said that our contemporary career lives, they basically give us a choice between money consumption or time life. Basically, our career race steals time, and thereby it steals our lives in order to keep up, insane and completely unnecessary consumption patterns while we're paying grotesque mortgages, that basically makes us serfs to the banks where we took our loans and all that, This monster has contributed significantly to make us slaves in a rather literal sense, these banks, they basically own our work because we owe them money and we are working for the interest. Traditional knowledge in Denmark analyzes the effect of church bells on the ecology of beings in the landscape. Farmers regularly report that they meet elves or trolls who are leaving. They can't stand the exercising noise of these bells. Note that church bells also used to mark time. They used to ring at a certain point of the week, a certain point of the day. And this is similar. The sounds that this horrid thing makes, they're a bit like the church bells of modernity. They're encasing us in machine time that does not leave space for the animist time. People rarely lose themselves in the dream time of the world of the elves anymore, where you can live for 10 years and come back into our world 2 seconds later. Or where the opposite, you can dance one evening and then when you come back, it's your grandchildren who are living in the farm, right? We are goose-stepping, our lives to the ridiculously non-rhythmic, monotone dictate of this evil old apparatus here. And in a sense, I've hoped that my work here on Nordic Animist calendar, which you can find the wall calendar together with the explanatory book here on my webpage, that would be a little bit of a help or a guide to realize some of these older, more humane, less anal and hysteric and less psychopathically stressing conceptions of time. For instance, the runic animist calendar, which I reintroduced here in my calendar work, that is a conceptualization of time as cycles of meaning that are entangled in the cycles of light, basically the cycles of the sun and the moon. And you can, find it on my webpage, and you can also check all that stuff out on my YouTube channel. See you around.